Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You've joined the Kubeflow community call for February 20th, 2024. I want to remind everyone that this meeting is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct, which I guess is also the CNCF Code of Conduct, so watch your conduct, and that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being recorded. So we have a lot to get through. I want to try to keep to the agenda and the schedule today as much as possible. So let's go ahead and get started with a release update on 1.9 Ricardo and Stefano. Ricardo, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. So let's start with the 1.9 updates. We're making a little progress on the development cycle for 1.9. Not sure yet if that's the right pace for us to get the final release dates on mid-July. But yeah, we're still tracking all the work within the working groups. Just a reminder that by March 4th, we'll have our release team checkpoint where we'll evaluate if the development work reached at least 50% of the work done, and that will give us a final decision if we'll be able to stick to the final release date that's on July 8th. So in about 2 weeks, we're gonna have this final date confirmed. We have a lot of progress on, especially on the model registry team. They just moved their code to the Kubeflow repo. They're about to create their manifest in they're about to work now on better document the integration between Kubeflow pipelines and Kserve, which is Model Registry is all about. Just a reminder that Model Registry is expected to be released as an alpha release on 1.9, and for 1.10, we're expecting to have a final version for Model Registry depending on all the user feedback. After collecting those feedbacks from the alpha release and from during the Model Registry meetings. So one other topic that's also important, we have an agreement between Google and IBM teams who are mainly working on the Kubeflow pipelines code, and we're gonna merge KFP Tecton code onto pipelines. So finally, we'll have a single component that will be compatible with both Tecton and Argo as the pipelines backend. So this is already added to the release roadmap that's about to be reviewed and possibly merged for this week. So these are all the 1.9 updates I could say for highlighting the biggest topics here. Moving to 1.8.1, we make a decision to not waiting for the notebooks issues to finish. We feel like there's too much to finish. So we're gonna release 1.8.1 with what we have so far for the fixes. And after that, we're gonna plan it. After fixing those notebooks issues, we're gonna release 1.8.2, or if we can wait, depending on the how critical are those issues, we can decide on moving this to the 1.9 release. So this is a decision we're gonna make in the next release meeting right after we release 1.8.1. I think that's
Ricardo,
it.
one question.
Mhm.
Are we going to backport the KSP release as well, at least to the latest 2.0.3 to 2.0.5? Are we allowed to do this in a manifest working group?
So 1.8.1, if I remember, basically it's about manifest and another component I need to confirm with Daniela. So those two components will be upgraded to 1.8.1. and notebooks will be for later releases.
Yeah, it's about Kubeflow pipeline. They had some bugs in 2.0.3. I'm just wondering who is going to do the upgrade in the manifest repository.
So Daniela gave me all the instructions to do that release. My understanding is that the release steps also cover syncing the manifest for Kubeflow pipelines. So probably it will be me that will do this manifest sync.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, I also thought about KSOF, but I'm even happy if you just do the KP synchronization. It will already help us a lot.
Yeah, okay. Well, it will be my first time doing a release. So maybe if you can help me on some of these release steps, it would be great. I have Daniela help too, but you know, first time doing releases is also exciting and terrifying at the same time. But does that answer all your questions, Julius?
Yes, it does. We can definitely take a look together and see how do we synchronize them. I think Kim also had something in mind regarding synchronizing them periodically or so. So there's a lot of stuff you can do around that.
Okay, that's great. So Matthew, do you agree with the timeline for the notebooks issues?
Well, I don't know about agree with. I don't know if we set a specific timeline, but there's just so many issues that I've uncovered that it's just like.
Yeah, let's say timeline by release versions, postponing the notebooks issues for 1.8.2 or possibly 1.9. I just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely would like to cut a release as soon as we can. Of course, there is some practical concerns that if we wait too long, no one in the notebooks working group can actually release anything. So, because of messed up permissions that we still need to get solved. So, like, only a release manager can actually cut a release, but so we can't even cherry pick stuff, for example. But yeah, like we should definitely try and get those issues solved. The problem is that I don't know where Kimonis has gone. He's kind of disappeared, and as a result, I'm the only person maintaining those 10 components. So, so if you're here
Yeah.
and you want to contribute, please reach out to me on Slack if you have experience with Go, or even better, if you're a user of some of the notebook components. The issue, that top issue there, is the tracking one that for all the issues, I've grouped them by component. They're listed there, but some of them are PRs, some of them are issues. Yeah. So like some of them have been merged already. None of them are cherry picked, so at very least we would need to cherry pick them. But some of them also put notes on ones that I think that actually need to be reviewed if they've already been merged. Anyway, the point is, I don't expect other people to come and help right now. They can. I would love it if they would, but I'm not like actually expecting it. But it would be nice to have at least one other person.
Okay, let me see if I can find someone within Red Hat that could help you on those issues. We know that
yeah.
there's people involved with the Notebooks 2.0 design doc, and they probably have some knowledge about the 1.0 code. Let's see. I'll reach out to you after the meeting.
Yeah, cool.
All right, Josh, that's all about it.
Thank you. Okay. Where are we at here? Let's get back to live. Okay, any other questions about the release updates? Okay, let's move on to the steering committee updates. I don't know if you want to take this one?
Yep. Yeah. So regarding TLC, we have two updates there. Andre is working on the TLC charter draft that's available as a PR on GitHub. Feel free to comment and provide feedback. And yeah.
Okay, so that's this one. There's a lot of comments on there already. Good.
Yeah, and Amber is working on the TLC election proposal, but that's also pending discussion from the KSC. Especially we need to finalize the TLC charter first. And the next item is so I added a folder dedicated for KSC material. It includes like decision logs. So any decisions key decisions we made during the steering committee meetings will be recorded there. And we also publicly make the meeting notes and recordings public as well in that folder. So yeah, feel free to take a look as well. And we made the decision to switch to DCO instead of Google CLA. And Halber is adding updating the website and some of the community repos to provide instructions on how to transition to that. Thank you, Halber.
Quick question with that one. Have we reached out to the legal counsel of the CNCF just about that change?
Yeah, they have a preference on DCO.
But not specifically, like, have we reached out with regard to our project specifically?
Regarding what?
Like,
Sorry.
Like, have we just have we put in a service desk request just to be like, okay, can we have one of the lawyers just review that in our specific situation where there's thousands of contributors that are historical who have contributed under the CLA, stuff like that. Like whether like is that like because obviously overall they might prefer DCO because it's simpler, but like in our specific case, for example, the Kubernetes uses the CLA, for example. So
Yeah, the Kubernetes is a special case that since Google had a preference on CLA when they donated the project. So, but other than that, I think other projects are basically most of them are using DCO already. So I'm pretty sure CNCF has that recommendation. It's also what we did for other project like Argo. We transitioned from CLA to DCO specifically. So yeah, but to your question, we didn't file any ticket regarding that
yeah, just because
specifically.
my only reasoning is just because like while I understand and respect the DCO because it's a simpler thing, because we already and I know that the CLA is a bit of a pain to set up, I know. But like there is some legal benefit to the CLA, which is that like people waive their right to sue us, they waive the right to sue individual contributors, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like whereas they don't do that. But they obviously do that with the Apache 2.0 license, partially. That is like at least for certain classes of action, like patent infringement and stuff like that. But they don't like it's
Yeah, we
like
so
yeah.
none of us is like legal experts, but we did consult our open source program offices in different companies, and they are all okay with DCO at this point, at least from
But that's the contributor
steering.
side, right? I'm more talking about like, I'm sorry, that's more the company who are contributing side. I just my only recommendation is I think it should be fine. I just think we should just quickly send off a service desk request to say like, hey, we think there's a small chance we might be a special case, kind of like Kubernetes. We just want to know, like that's my because like we're dealing with legal things as we both say. We're all not lawyers, right? And there is no decided law here. You know what I mean? It is quite a new area. Anyway, Amber wants to say something, so.
I just think the simplest thing is just to ask for a legal review from the CNCF and make sure that our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted, and we've looked at it for due diligence purposes.
Even stuff like just the transition, like just confirming that we transition correctly.
Well, we've done this for different projects already, so I'm pretty confident.
But have you been sued subsequently as any project?
Let's
No,
capture-
no.
what is, Matthew, what is the actual concern here that you want to bring up? That
Oh,
let's put it into words so we can capture it.
well, my recommendation is that we just reach out to legal counsel just to make sure that what we're doing is not incredibly silly. That's just my main kind of, or that when we do it properly, like just like so and so there's two factors. It's like the first is like just making sure that in our specific case that it still makes sense, even if the overall recommendation of the CNCF is to use a DCO, it doesn't necessarily mean that that would be the recommendation in our particular case. And also, because this is a legal matter, you know, and then also if we do decide to transition, just like making sure that we understand the legal implications, like figuring out like what do we actually have to do, like because obviously we can just change the repo to require a DCO for all subsequent commits, like that makes sense. But there's the question of, okay, so how does it work for people who either don't make a contribution anymore? Are they still affected by the existing CLA? You know what I mean? Like, how does that
Yeah,
work?
so the fact that they already, like, the existing contributors already signed the Google CLA and the project is donated to CNCF, I don't think it's necessary to check.
Like, is the CLA even assignable, if you know what I mean, from a legal context?
Well, all IP has been transferred to CNCF already.
No, but there's like an important concept in contract law called assignability, right? And I don't know if there's an assignability clause inside of the
Okay, so
existing CLA.
your concern here is the code assignable, and what else? What else do you want?
It's just
Is there some legal jeopardy on law?
I mean, there's my own personal concerns that like obviously while the Apache 2.0 license and DCO together, so the DCO's only real thing is it's saying that I'm allowed to contribute it under the license, right? So that's sure, but that's what the person is just certifying. But there's other things that were in the CLA, like, you know, you assign patent rights, you assign you say, at least in the Kubernetes CLA, there's a clause which says if you take an action against the project or any of the contributors, you lose the right to use the project. You know, just like stuff that like it's not necessary, but it is just something to think about.
Yeah, I'm saying it doesn't hurt to do that. I think we can do it, but like since there are a lot many projects which are under DCO, like I don't think there is any problems with it. Like we can anyways initiate a separate thing with.
It's the reverse. I'm more thinking for DCO. Like I'm more thinking like there may not be enough clauses.
The thing is, if this was anybody's company, you wouldn't be saying, I think it's okay. You would be doing the due diligence that's needed to be done. And so you can't just hand wave a legal thing and be like, I think it's okay.
Yeah, and even if you say like, okay, other projects are doing it, well, maybe those projects are going to die because, you know, someone sues them. Like or maybe the contributors end up liable for millions of dollars of damages because someone isn't correctly protected against a warrant claim. You know what I mean? Like as much as obviously the Apache license has been tested somewhat, not a lot, but somewhat under American law at least. All I'm saying is just like I respect the KSC's ability to make the decision in the end. I just would strongly implore them to, even as just a brief level, like the CNCF holds counsel on retainer. They can literally we can just raise a request and just so as long as we have a list of questions like and we can just say like, okay, we just want to due diligence this, you know what I mean? That's all I'm suggesting, guys. That's all I'm suggesting.
Matthew, can you write up something like we can use to send submit?
I can raise the request with you guys having access to it if you want, because everyone in the who has service desk access will be able to see it, unless you want it to be a privileged thing.
Do we have an open issue right now? I think we do, right? Is this it right here? We have an open
So
issue.
probably what I'll ask them to do maybe is I'll if you're okay with this, I'll raise a service desk request that everyone can respond to who has access to server desk. And I'll say like, hey, if we're just wanting to wonder if we could engage your council about just a transition that we're planning with from CNC from the Google CLA to the DCO, and we just have a few points that we want to raise, and we just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly and that what we're doing is sensible. Like, is that reasonable for you guys?
Just one thing to add, Matthew. I think as Johan like said, like we already asked like for like like the legal teams from 4 different companies, and I also like asked the community if anyone has a concern around DCO, and we didn't receive any comments. Just I guess like the legal recommendation from us was to move forward with DCO, at least from the 3 companies, right? So if like you like,
but that okay, to be clear, that you like let's play a devil's advocate here. Let's say that those companies were intending to take a suit of action against someone in the project. Maybe it would be in their interest to compromise the legal protections of the project.
no, I don't think it's this case. I think it's different. I think it's DCO is much easier for them to move forward rather than CNCF CLA.
That might be true, and I'm not saying that's definitely a consideration to be made. I'm just more saying, like, even if we just set that aside, like, we have a CLA right now. What does it even mean to transfer it?
So
I don't
what two
think
cents
we
on that
should-
discussion?
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Ricardo.
sorry.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you. So I initially working on evaluating DCO versus CLA for Kubeflow, and I got all the information from the CNCF graduation docs. So my take on that is that if there would be any gotchas or jeopardy on using DCO for any CNCF projects, I don't believe CNCF will add DCO as an option for using as an IP policy for CNCF projects. So I guess we can consider we are covered by legal by just following their CNCF graduation docs, right? That's just my 2 cents on
The
that
law is
discussion.
very complicated, and maybe the reason the DCO is there is just because that it's easier for projects that don't have large groups of people involved. Like maybe. Like all I'm saying is that it can't, like, the absolute minimum we should do is like tell the CNCF we have because we haven't talked to them directly about this issue. Tell the CNCF we have an existing CLA. We're not actually sure what it even means legally speaking to assign it to the CNCF, the rights under it. But beside that, we're thinking of stopping that requirement, getting rid of it, and saying just DCO only. Could you give us some legal advice? You know what I mean? That's all I'm asking that we should just at very least ask them to do.
All right, we got that. Let's keep going. I think we've got that.
If everyone's okay with that, I'll raise that request, and you guys can feel free to respond to anything they say, and they'll probably want to book a meeting with the KSC, I imagine.
Let's move on, Josh.
Josh, I think we need 10 minutes to discuss TOC today. So it's up to you when you
TOC, did you say?
TOC, yeah, like Technical Oversight Committee Charter.
Okay. Matthew, thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for taking an action item to close that out. Let's do what, as you suggested, unless other people object, Matthew's going to raise an issue. Okay. I'm glad to talk about the TOC. I'd like to get this moving forward. I'm going to put a time limit on. Who would like to walk through the TOC discussion?
A small thing to add, can we get that draft of the issue ready and then create the service ticket so that we know what things are getting written, right? I'm saying we have to be we have to know what questions that we have to ask, because if we are on the negative side, I'm not sure how things will be taken up by the CNCF, right? So can we get a draft and set it across, Matthew, if possible?
Yeah, kind of my take is I like what Howard did here. And we should ask, what's our legal jeopardy to move forward with moving over to DCO? I mean, I think like to minimize kind of the activity here to what needs to be done, which is, I think this PR needs to be approved. Before we do it, we need legal sign off on it.
Yeah, please go ahead, Josh. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anybody want to walk us through the TOC charter discussion?
Yeah, maybe I can do it quickly. So I think there are several things we need to, finalize in terms of the charter, the responsibilities, and other things. And I think we definitely could do it like the next following, maybe a couple of weeks. I think the most important thing that we need to probably answer for us as a community, whether we need to do the election for TOC. And just to give you the context, so there was this discussion around whether TOC should be elected or TOC should be appointed by working groups and the steering committee. So there are pros and cons of both approaches, but I really want to spend like maybe 10 minutes today to discuss this and get the feedback from all of you.
So I raised like 3 questions that I think could be good discussion points, which is first off, what is the purpose? I think before we can discuss membership elections, like can you briefly outline what you view as the purpose and goal of the TOC?
Yeah, so from my personal perspective, I think I actually commented on the issue. So TOC should be responsible for cross-component collaborations, specifically like to make Kubeflow much less loosely coupled and think about Kubeflow as a product for our end users, right? Because like mostly working group right now, they're really focusing on their like components as a standalone application, but whenever think more about deep integration, for example, pipelines with training operators or, like pipelines with Kserve, right? So the one thing that TOC definitely should do to, establish Kubeflow goal and in general, like what we're trying to really, what is Kubeflow, right? Like answer this type of questions. Also, I guess like we still don't have the proper kind of, LTC support. Like for example, are we going to support like several releases of Kubeflow, right? So I guess like since we don't have like a proper teams today, yes, we have release managers and we do releases like for the last like 3 years, but there is still not kind of like, clear process for us as a community, like for how many years we're going to maintain the releases, who is going to, decide when the release timelines, right, and other things. So this is the second point. Also about the security, outreach, project management, and all these things. Ideally, and Stefan, I think you already commented, they should be individual groups, but we're not there yet as the community. And TOC might be like responsible for such of these kind of tasks unless we have dedicated teams for this work. Go ahead, Amber. You also have a point. Yep.
So I think the short of it is if we're going to call it a technical oversight or a technical steering committee, whichever one you're going to call it, that ultimately they're responsible for the technical direction of the project, with oversight from the KSC, and that is it's a living, breathing document, and just like the KSC charter, the TSC or TOC charter will be, living as well. So you're gonna iterate on it. It's not gonna be final, just like the KSC one wasn't final when we had the elections. But I think getting back to your first question of whether or not we should have elections or things be appointed, I think the elections get people in the habit of voting. It gets people into the habit of, it's a forcing function for contribution. And if like you all brought up before, like what if there's only 3 people, then you do it like the KSC, you elect 3, just like you had on the interim to begin with. You elect 3 now, and then a year from now you elect 2 more, and then you stagger the elections. But I also think the other thing that needs to happen is that we need to be very careful. Like, I don't think anybody that sits on the KSC right now should be eligible for the TOC, because it's a check and balance. And I think that the KSC is ultimately the highest escalation point. So if you're sitting on a working group and you're on part of the TOC and you're on the KSC, you would have to abstain from deciding anything because it's a conflict of interest at that point. So I think we really need to take a look at more than just these guidelines, but who can vote, because it is the technical oversight committee. So we need to look at, who is going to be eligible to do this. So those are just the points
I agree with you, Amber. I mean, like, we don't have like the strict requirements right now that the people like cannot be part of multiple, committees. But I agree with you, have more diversity around different, subsidiaries and different, committees, right? If we agree as a community to have this exception, not exception, like to have this like rule, I can definitely update the charter.
So, I mean, when I asked the question, what is the goal? Like, what are I mean, that is probably correct to my question as it was stated, which was what is the goal? But like, maybe a better question would be, what is the actual power of the committee? So, like, what can they actually bind the community on, in sense of like, obviously there's some delegated authority, but this is about delegating the TOC's authority. But like, what like, obviously there's practical considerations as well. Like, if the working groups want to do something and the TOC decides that they don't want to do that or something, like what actually happens? Like, you know what I mean? Like this is why my second question comes to, just as like a probing question, maybe the TOC is just the combined members of all the chairs of the working groups. Like, there's no need to elect it at all. It's just whoever the current chairs are.
Well, then you've got people on the KSC that's also working group chairs.
It's true, but
and I think that is not a good check and balance system to have.
But I mean, theoretically, maybe the process we do is we make sure that it's like, the reason I propose that is mostly just, presumably we will have robust processes to ensure that the chairs of working groups are technically capable and things like that. So that's just my thought there. Like, obviously we currently have a few working groups that have a lot of chairs, so maybe we would need to limit how many each working group could present to the committee as well. But
so it's a good point, Matthew. I mean, like, the question is here, like, right, because right now, if we look at reality, like working groups chairs, they're mostly focusing on their internal components, as I said before, right? So we don't have we have some precedents before, but it's not like, so usually people are very focusing on the components they're really working on, right? And they probably don't have enough time to think about, deeply what is actually Kubeflow, right? Because each component could be as an independent, GitHub project, to be honest, right? Because if we look in the reality, right, most people are using pipelines independently, most people using KServe like as a standalone application, right? I guess like, I'm not sure if like the people on the working groups will have enough like bandwidth to working on this as well. That is why like I suggesting to have like another people who will be, dedicated their time to think about, interconnections.
I mean,
But, like,
that sounds nice in theory, but like that still doesn't neglect the fact this is an open source project where people have to donate their time to do the other role as well. Like, even the TOC would be like, who's actually, like, even if that was the goal, like, who's available and capable and trusted by the community to actually have that role?
Yeah, and I don't think TOC should dictate a roadmap for the working groups. And we kind of like, I think Josh, like it was a comment from you as well, right? That's like they should be consolidating efforts across working groups and TOC. Yeah,
Like-
but yeah, good.
Like, what you're saying as goals, I agree with those goals. Don't get me wrong. That's actually what I would do. I would love that for the project. But maybe the way to achieve that goal is, as I was saying, through some, maybe with a few limitations and improvements to how we assign chairs, that we just say the TOC is a committee, like in a traditional sense, a committee of the chairs. And then as a requirement of being a chair, you have to report like someone can chair the committee, and that can be like someone who agrees with that vision, yes. But their point is that the steering committee, your one, I mean, not the technical committee, can be like, okay, to be a chair, you have to do these things. And one of those things is you have to work towards the goal of making Kubeflow more of a platform, you know? Like
I think we have
I think that having working group chairs being part of the TOC defeats the purpose of the TOC, because you need people who actually look at the project end to end as a whole product. Well, usually, you know, working group leads are vertically focused on that component, and sometimes they look at integrations and end to end machinery, but that's not their primary focus. So I fear that by bringing in the working group chairs, you kind of defeat the purpose of the TOC and leave out people who could be more focused on the end-to-end and overall high-level technical excellence of the product itself.
So Stefano, I think the point that Matthew raised was more on how do we figure out that someone is really committed towards that, right? Like in theory, what you're saying is right. But again, like when we have an open process, how much committed is that elected person is, right? I think that's what the bigger point is.
I like Stefano's point in that should there be a distribution seat, a seat for a distribution? Should there be a seat for an end user? That sort of makes sense to me. Amber?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Amber.
I think the other thing, because I've seen it in other communities over the years, that we have to be very careful too, that these aren't looked at as company positions. So what happens if, I don't know, let's just say company A. Company A sits on the KSC. Company A is in part of 3 working group leads. Company A is also on the TOC. Company A also sits on the conformance committee. So now you've got one company that sits on every single place. And are they forwarding their calls, or are they looking at it neutral? So I think you have to be careful that no one company can ever take over as well. So you've got to be very careful on how you do this and how you write this governance. And I think you have to take all of that. You may be rolling your eyes and thinking, oh, Amber, you're worrying about too much. But when people didn't worry about this and other companies took over projects, and then it was hard to get it back to a neutral stance. So I think we have to look at it and play devil's advocate from all angles and know that we're going to have to iterate as we go. Like this first round is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be exactly where we want it, but we need to at least look at all the blind spots that we could have when you're writing governance. So just something to think about.
Julius, you've got one. We're at the 10-minute mark, by the way. Go ahead.
Okay, I will keep it short. Yes. Amber, probably we can just say that on the TOC and KC, each company can only be represented once, something along those lines. And the other thing is that in practice, there are not that many people who even have the skills that should be satisfied by a TOC member. So probably we will not even. It will be interesting to see whether we can even fill 5 seats. So I'm opting for that, yes, but I wouldn't worry too much. If you have the company rule, something along those lines, it should probably be fine.
It's written for 3 right now, by the way. 3 seats.
Okay.
But even then, like,
we can do.
It's not clear what actual binding power they have. Like in the KSC, it's clear. It's like, oh, it's everything, right? The KSC literally can vote on literally anything and bind the project. But with the TOC, it's like, okay, it feels more like a facilitator role where it's like, okay, the working groups actually write the code. The committers under the working groups write the code, maybe a better way to say it. The working groups facilitate their individual project. And then, yes, there is a piece missing, which is, okay, how do we become a project? But it feels like the role of a TOC as it defines, as you define here, Andre, which I like the idea of it, is that it's more of a facilitator role. But then is the best way to facilitate from within, or is it from someone has to be trusted by the community, but also have the ability, like, and have some teeth to be like, okay, if you want to keep leading your project, you have to actually take a few steps, even if little ones, just towards helping us integrate the project a bit more. Anyway.
Okay. We have a lot more to go on this steering committee. I guess who brought this up, you on or Andre?
Yeah, just quickly, just last thing, Josh. I think if you have any concern whether we want to have election or whether it should be appointed, please let your feedback on the PR, because we want to start election soon if we decide to do it so, and we need your feedback on this PR. So yeah, let's move on, Josh.
Yeah, and my take is even if the charter isn't finished, we can still start the elections. It's not like we're not going to have a TOC. I think
Well,
it's-
that is kind of a slight debate here, right? Like maybe the TOC is an informal grouping that just that is one thing that is a potential outcome, right? Is it not?
I don't know that anybody's proposed that to right now. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm just saying I think up until this point, we've always said we're formally going to have a TOC.
Like, for example, Kubernetes doesn't have a TOC. That's just like, if we're basing it purely off the Kubernetes governance structure, which is a much bigger project, no question. They have working groups, which are actually so they have something called a SIG, which is actually our working group. And then they have the steering committee, but then they don't have an in-between committee. They do have temporary committees, which are formed at the discretion of the steering committee, which could be in this case. Maybe it's a temporary problem that we have where the projects aren't working together, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have more to talk about here. These are great comments. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. Let's try to hash this out and let's move on. Model registry.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Josh. Matteo here from the registry team. Just a quick update. So yesterday we had our recurrent meeting. Just to remind to the community, we moved it on Monday evening following some other conflict. So that seems the good spot. We had actually new people joining the team, so welcome to that. And also we had some progress on some of the action items that we are doing for the Kubeflow 1.9 roadmap. Things worth of mention in this, but I've put an announcement in Slack and I'm going to as well send it to Kubeflow discuss mailing list. We are progressing with the code uplift. So in the model registry Kubeflow repo, you will find the code uplifted there. We are doing some downstream changes for us, but really great kudos to all the team and all the people involved, Dheeraj and everyone else that also supported directly or advised from this community on how to do that. We have also had the meeting, we discussed the Kubeflow 1.9 roadmap points, like we started to include manifest, so we have the manifest. We can use some testing on that. We also been suggested by Ricardo and Stefano for some documentation that is worth of start preparing for the Kubeflow 1.9 release. And finally, I have a few questions that I've captured in yesterday's meeting that I would like to ask here today. I don't need an answer right now, but I just wanted to bring it to the group. For the meetings, I understand that eventually there will be like a credential sharing for using Zoom. So if that is possible, okay.
So do you already have you already made your meeting or are you going to make a meeting?
I already have the meeting, but I can update it with the meeting connection to go from Google Meet to Zoom as soon as I know.
Right now, how many, so are you using Meet right now? Is that what you're using?
Yeah.
Is that okay for you? I mean, obviously we can make available the new CNCF Zoom, but like, is the Meet a problem for you right now, or?
For me, no. I don't know if it is a problem for anybody else or for this group. I mean, for the Kubeflow community that we use Meet. If for the Kubeflow community is fine to use as well Meet, I can take the recording and manage them locally. That is okay with me.
Yeah, also, where would you want to upload your recordings? That's a bigger question, actually.
That's my second question. So let's say I'm fine to have like a YouTube channel that I already have and sort of like have them unlisted there so that if you have the link, you can see them. But I just sort of asking if you want me to make it as a moderator role in another YouTube channel, I can upload them there, wherever you want.
while we do have the new password manager, right now we're still uploading the community meetings, at least on the random YouTube channel from ages ago. Now that we've got our own community, you know, we have our own steering committee, there's a chance that maybe we could get the not for everyone obviously to have access, but to have some people have access to the YouTube to be able to upload videos. I don't know if they're I don't know how YouTube permissions work. I don't know if you can give someone else permission to upload videos on your behalf. Does anyone
You
know?
can, yeah, I know. So basically, when you create a channel, if it is created as a channel, so it's sort of like the more recent YouTube, you can have like people that are social media manager in this case kind of role. So if you extend that one to me, I can start to upload the recordings to the random YouTube channel that you mentioned. So I can sync with you offline in Slack, Matthew, if we want to take it from there.
Yeah, because I mean, in the very short term, as long as you have a solution for the next wee while, like month or so, have you got a solution for the next month? That's my main question.
I have.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, because at some point in the next month, we'll migrate this meeting to the new Slack to the new CNCF, Zoom. So as a result, we'll make it available to the other working groups as well. But it's just like we'll try and do that in steps, if you know what I mean. But I agree that there's two things we need to solve, which is we need to get access to the Kubeflow YouTube channel and make some people more than someone able to upload videos. Or you can just upload to the existing one that I have, but it can cause problems when people are logging into it from all around the world.
Yeah, it's like, are you sure that in the other YouTube channel that you mentioned, you don't have the capability to associate social media manager's account? Because in that case, sort of like, I don't know your password. It's simply that my existing, sort of.
Yeah, so obviously Andre's linked their official YouTube channel, but no one has access to that because no one knows the credentials to that. But it could be added to the new one password under a special admin account or something.
Okay, so what I can do is that for the time being, I can still use Google Meet and still upload it to another YouTube. But let's say I will check with you offline. If you want, I can try to see if for the other YouTube channel, if you want me to upload there. For me, it's fine either way, as the group prefers.
I mean, yeah, just deal as long as you've got a solution for the next wee while. Also, did you still need a Slack channel or have you already got one now?
I already got it.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you so much.
Model registry on track. Things are moving. Good job. Let's keep going if that's okay. Kubeflow user survey. Stefano, you there, Stefano?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, yeah. So thanks very much. So I'd like to have more information about the status of the support for loop parallelism in Kubeflow v2. There's an issue on GitHub. So what we're currently using is Kubeflow version 1, which supports this parallel for. But on GitHub, this issue has been stale for a while. We'd like to move to KFP v2, but obviously we can't because parallelism is not supported. So I'd like to know if there's something in place, what are the plans, what we should expect.
Is anyone from KFP able to respond to the request, or are they here?
Guess not, but I think I can talk about that. I think this is part of the V2 tracker for Kubeflow 1.9, but still no contributors assign themselves to work on that. This probably will be raised on the next pipelines working group meeting because this is becoming a critical issue for V2 for the upcoming 1.9 release. So let me bring that topic for pipelines working group and I'll share the results of that meeting.
Because definitely I've seen this issue raised by a lot of people. By the way, can someone just quickly confirm? I believe you can still run V1 pipelines though, so you could still use that.
Yeah, exactly. V1 is no problem, but we'd like to progress on V2 because V2 has more features than V1. It allows more flexibility as well. So it's just a natural evolution of the system.
But yeah, I've seen this exact problem raised by a lot of even upstream projects that compile down to Kubeflow pipelines. That parallel flows are not allowed. And there's a few other ones as well. Like I don't know if they've fixed it. Can someone confirm if affinity configs aren't supported now or not yet? Okay, because I don't believe affinity was supported at least
I
in the
don't think
initial
so.
beta.
Yeah, I think this is another problem. Yes, because from the tests we've done, we weren't able to even have parallel for working correctly unless it spin ups all the possible nodes that it sees. Just to know, when is the next pipeline working group? To have an idea.
So the best way to check is to go to kubeflow.com, go to about, go to community, and then scroll down to the meetings kind of list, and you can see there. Or you can just have all the meetings spammed to your Google Calendar by joining Kubeflow Discuss.
Yeah.
Which is a bit annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But honestly, that is what I do personally, and I just decline the meetings I don't want to go to. But
All right. Thank you, Stefano. I'm going to keep going on. And
oh, by the way, are the people from MinIO here? Because we've kind of wasted. If someone from MinIO here, can someone confirm? Anyone from MinIO?
No, I'll see if I can get Arvind Gupta to show up next time. I keep putting it on, hoping that they'll show, but. All right, what about this updating architecture diagram? Are we to a place where this thing can be updated, or is this the item that will never get completed?
I think we should just merge it. Let's agree.
Well, that's only just been added, right? No, someone just updated it a few minutes, like yesterday. So like we should at least discuss the new version.
Yeah, but we've been working for this for 3 months already, so.
Oh no, but that's not a reason just to randomly merge something.
Yeah, I understand, but I think Vikas was involved in this like from November. So
oh, I'm not saying that it's not going to be able to be merged. I'm just saying like this was raised 2 days ago. This particular proposal.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a point in that diagram. Should we already should it in advance add model red string to that diagram, since this is becoming part of the Kubeflow?
Not yet. I love the model registry project, but code's got to be delivered.
It's also not even on the front page yet, like we have components or even on the website.
Yeah, that's another topic I raised on document channel, relying on the master branch while we are adding features
so master. Okay, to be clear, master is the branch that you get kubeflow.org, right? Everything else is on a subdomain. So if you want to update kubeflow.org, which is most of the time what you want to do, you need to update the master branch.
Yeah. Well, anyways, sorry for a side topic. Let's discuss that after meeting.
All right, so
I think we could, I think we could improve that proposal, Josh, the one that you're just commenting on there. I think we can improve it slightly because we only just had this available for like a day. So
yeah, I agree with both comments there. It's only a day, but it's unfair. We've left this open too long. There's been a lot of changes. We need to at least release, the responsibility. The only thing I don't like about this is the difference in colors, but maybe that's on purpose. I guess. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could say, this could be here, or that could be there. Looks generally better than what we have.
Well, I think this is important because any diagram we create will get used in presentations. And in this particular case, I think it can be a little bit more clear by adding a little bit better coloring and backgrounding and things. Obviously, this is based off my initial design, but like, I'm not saying that I don't like the general idea, but
Okay. Here's kind of my proposal on this. We've gone, how many more iterations? Yeah, give me a feeling.
Oh, to be clear, Josh, we've already merged half of the thing. You know how we talked about, you're talking about for months? Well, half of it's already been merged if you go on kubeflow.org under introduction right now.
Okay.
So like it's not that there's been no updates. It's just that the architecture diagram hasn't been updated.
I know. I'm just trying to be fair to Vikas.
Oh, I agree. I'm not. I don't want to be mean to him either. I'm just saying.
Can we get it done by next week? Can everybody get your comments in, or we're gonna merge it?
It's a little bit hard to do because like it's a design thing, right? Committee designs are always hard. But
That's kind of the point. Like, if we don't, we'll never get it done, and I think it's better than what we have. Okay.
so the main question is it correct? You know what I mean? Like, and if it's correct, then it's better. If you know what I mean. I would also like to do some other updates, like making the buttons link you to the documentation of each section and things like that. But
All right, I want to go on to this Kubeflow user stories. Andrea, are you guys here? Is there something here that you want to bring up or?
Yeah, maybe quickly. I think I mentioned this before, like 2 weeks ago. So we've been discussing with Andrea that we have to do some, work on the Kubeflow user stories and how we can improve the contributing story for the new, for the new users. So Andrea just started this doc for just Katib components, but I think we need to emphasize this for other components as well. And so as a start, we also tried to update the architecture diagrams for training operator, for example, to show different distributed strategies here at the bottom, which kind of like a good first start for people to understand what actually Kubeflow is and what we're trying to solve here, right? And how it will be useful. So I think we need to together work on the doc that Andrea created to identify user stories, why when you use Kubeflow, how you can contribute, where you can contribute. Even that Kubeflow is a very complicated project, but we can, say, hey, if you're data scientist, you can work on algorithms. If you're Kubernetes engineer, you can work on controllers, right? If you're a technical writer, you can help us with documentation. So all these things we can combine and, maybe have a clear contributor guidelines.
This is great. Yeah. So is there a particular ask? Do you want people to review that, or what are we doing?
I think Andrea, are you on the call here, Andrea? I don't think she's here. Let me double check.
So that's a Word doc. People could put comments on it. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, I think I just don't have enough time to review it yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like we probably need to, we need to some volunteers who can help us to work on the user stories and help with this, documentation, contributor
So
guidelines.
let's just highlight that. Could use some user stories on that. And yeah, let's try to take a look at that document and see if that helps users. I think it looks, like a lot of good work. Security team, is Yulia still here? I know it's beer 30 there. What's going on?
Actually, not that much change. Maybe Amber can talk about it.
Yeah, so we started the review process with the CNCF. So their security tag is actually going through everything. We're reviewing it. We're having meetings in between the security meetings, so I'll be ready to share that next week. We're also temporarily, based on the suggestion of the CNCF, we're going to set up, I think James Liu is helping us set up a Google group for that. So it'll be private. People can send us their CVEs. I also sent out, I heard back from pipelines. I gotta track an issue down, but we are now starting to work with the working groups as CVEs are being reported. The particular 3 that I shared out with notebooks, manifests, and KFP came through a tool called Hunter that they made me aware of, and so I brought it over. So we're still tracking stuff down. I need to get back to them because they have a 90-day disclosure and we're 45 days in. So we'll need to get we'll need to get those folks some proper answers. So Matthew, I think you've seen that. I don't think Kimonis has responded yet either, but I'll need to touch base with you and Kimonis, or you and somebody.
Some of them, I mean, I won't disclose anything now, but like some of them looked a bit like unconfirmed in a pretty strong way.
Well, we'll have to
But-
respond back to that because I can't just leave them open.
Where do we respond? Where do we respond?
So I'll have to respond in Hunter. They've shared the dashboard with me. So I'll have to hop back over into that app and respond. So
Is this an app that they've made, or is this a CNCF app?
No, this is an app that security personnel use. It's called Hunter, Huntr. And there's bounties and things like that are there. There's tons of security apps out there. This just happened to be one people pointed me to before they did a huge blog post and kind of, disclosed it publicly. They're giving us the opportunity to fix it.
Oh yeah, these guys. I've seen these guys are specifically focused on bounties for ML platforms.
Yeah, but these don't have bounties, the ones that we're working with, because they know we're
Yes.
volunteer. But anyway, so we need to work on that. So I just wanted to let everybody know we are progressing. We are working with the CNCF. You should see a mailing list soon. So we'll be able to share those procedures out, or a mail or a Google group soon. So we should be able to share that out. And we're moving along with all of the criteria.
Fantastic. Thank you
Yep.
for the go ahead.
And we as a team will start moving forward the process to set up a proper working group with this. Andre talked to me about that a little bit. So we'll move forward to having it as an official, working group. I'll.
That one. There's a chance that it might make more sense as a committee. Honestly, I know that sounds weird, but like a appointed committee.
We'll figure that out, but I am already late for another meeting, but I did want to give that update. So.
Yeah, I do want to try to close this meeting out on time. I appreciate everybody's efforts. I think we're good for today. Unless
there's one still that I think we can merge now, by the way, which is that installing Kubeflow page. I don't know if anyone in this meeting even has permission to merge it, but we've changed it based off the discussion last time, which was it's that PR there. It should be ready to merge now if someone is willing to merge it, because it's just a style update and it puts a warning. It doesn't move their Amazon distribution yet. It just puts a warning that says distributions that have names like Kubeflow on platform. So it's been updated now, the warning. It no longer
this one?
Yeah. Like if you scroll down, the main change that was made is just that the warning is now worded differently because everyone was concerned about the use of the word official. Just keep rolling. No, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. It's you're going too far, but that one there, yeah. So it says this is the main change that it has, aside some styling changes which make it a bit easier to read the page. Which is, if people are happy with that warning, which is, I'll read it out for people if they want to read it. Some distributions have names like Kubeflow on platform. Please note they're not the only way to use Kubeflow on that platform. It is simply the name of a distribution. There are discussions about renaming these distributions to avoid confusion with others that may be available on the same platform. And this is the primary change that is being made here. It also changes the wording to not say that you have to be active for 6 months exactly, but because that was agreed upon.
So where is the...
So there's some styling changes if you scroll down. Oh yeah.
I'm trying to get some things straightened out on my computer.
Oh no, that's too big of a file. Don't look at that file. That's going to be a crazy big. Go back off that. So the styling changes are less important. Just trust me that you need to go back one more time. Oh, there you go. No, you got it. You got director. You got it. So the main change is that one, which says, well, that's actually just a styling change as well, I think. But the distribution names, that one obviously is that warning you just saw.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is the wording above the table, which says rather than the last 6 months, it says that are currently maintained by their respective maintainers. Just, that's more defined, I guess.
Okay.
And then rolling down, the last part is that it says the following, and then for the legacy ones, it says that have not had a recent release, brackets in the last 6 months, or whose maintainers have indicated they are no longer actively maintaining. Because I think that it's fair to put a thing in legacy if the maintainers have said we're not maintaining it. And then the last wording is the raw manifest section was really strangely formatted. this is a little bit different. It says that it highlights that the manifests are intended to be the base of package distributions. That's at least when they were originally created. That is the wording that we used. If people disagree with that, then that's fine. But we can remove that change or minimize it. But has anyone got any comments on that part?
I actually, sorry, I think this is great, but I have some concerns that we say around that advanced users should use raw manifest. And
not saying that they should.
Yeah.
Which way around are you saying?
Like my concern is like we probably should emphasize that Kubeflow also could be used as the like basically it's very composable, right? And we didn't really emphasize it in this kind of page that hey, you can like even use part of the Kubeflow to.
Oh no, it actually says that at the very top. If you go to the current Kubeflow page, I mean that by the way, that page is slightly out of date, the one you're looking that screenshot, but it does say at the top, I'll read it out, which is it's not super, it's in a paragraph, but it says Kubeflow is an end-to-end machine learning platform. It provides components for each of the stage of the ML life cycle. Oh, you've gone a little bit too far. I can't read it anymore. Yeah, and then it says operators can choose what is best for their users. There is no requirement to deploy every component. To read more about the components and architecture of Kubeflow, see the architecture page. It actually does say that. I can make that a question. We can make that more highlighted if you would like. I can make, I can say, can I use part of Kubeflow? I can make that a question if you want.
I think we need a separate section to say, to just have a link for every component where it explains how they can be installed standalone. Because I think almost all the components have the standalone installation. And maybe we should emphasize here as
Some
well.
definitely can't. Some definitely can't. But like Kubeflow notebooks, for example, can't really. I mean, it can be in a sense, but like you still need the overall Istio-based Kubeflow,
Yeah, I mean, like, but I think like notebooks should, like make. I mean, I don't know like about the notebooks working rules, but maybe it's like it should be possible to install it as a standalone application with Istio as well, right? Because, for example, you don't need pipelines, right, to run notebooks.
Yeah, no, but you do need the stuff like profiles, for example.
Yeah, just for the UI, right? So
yeah,
okay.
So that one is a little bit more like tied in, if you know what I mean, to the. But I mean, you could argue that those are the core components anyway, like the profiles and stuff. But
I have one comment for the distribution table. Is that possible to also, or where is that running? If it's Windows, Mac, a cloud product? Right now,
it does say that on it. It does say that on it. If you scroll up, Josh, to the table. Oh, you can type whatever you want, but I'll answer your question, Alex. Alex, there is a target platform column, which right now is normally a single cloud platform, which is specifically, it says, target platform. So for example, Kubeflow on AWS says EKS is the target, not Amazon.
I see. So that's where you put Mac or Windows or.
Well, it's not really so it's not really allowed to be Windows or Mac. That doesn't really make any sense. But you could put something like Rancher Kubernetes or if it supports all Kubernetes. Well, again, we've never really had a distribution that isn't. I understand why you're asking because you've got a local distribution.
Yeah, I have a community edition that runs locally, and I have the cloud edition. So basically, I support local deployments on Metal and also the cloud components.
When you say local deployment, is it just so? What type of Kubernetes though?
What is the one you support? 125 and 1.26.
Oh, okay, but like, is it so? It's just an all conformant Kubernetes situation.
Yeah, it's a CNCF is based on kind images.
Okay, so what I'm saying is there's another option which is slightly different, which is called all conformant Kubernetes, which is what 2 of the distributions have listed as. Is that the case for yours, or is there some limit on which distributions you support?
There's you talk about the Kubeflow distribution.
Sure.
No, there's
no. Sorry, other way around. No. Kubernetes.
No, I support.
So the target platform at the moment, at least, is always a type of distribution of Kubernetes. So like, for example, if you look down the list, it says Azure Kubernetes Service, Google Kubernetes Engine, IBM Kubernetes Service, Nutanix Kubernetes Engine. Or in the case of Charmed Kubeflow and DeployKF, it says all certified Kubernetes distributions.
Oh, I see. And what do you mean by that? So that
means any compliant Kubernetes cluster is supported by both of those distributions.
Oh, I can just put that then. I see. Okay.
So if that's the case, then yeah, put that. If it's not
Okay.
the case, please don't put that. But
Yeah.
but it's
All right, look, we're way over and I'm trying
but
to
feel
get-
free to raise a PR to do that. Yes.
Yeah, Josh, I saw you moved the demo for next week for Cubo. That's the final part to add Cubo on that list.
Were you ready today? Did I screw up?
I was ready today. You gave me 7 minutes, but
I'm
I
so
think we went
sorry
past the time.
about that.
You
No,
should
no
have.
worries, no worries. We can do it next week.
All right, all right. I thought I'd ask at the beginning, but maybe I didn't make it clear and I didn't. I should have moved you up. I apologize.
No, no worries. So next week, that's next Tuesday, right?
We'll get you right up top. I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
no worries.
But
all
feel
good.
free to raise a PR. Like, I mean, obviously raise the PR so that when it is, once we've seen it, that we can all say like, oh yeah, it works. Yeah.
Yeah, there's already the PR is already open. So I'll share with you, but already did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But anyway, so if anyone's okay with like, so I'm happy to make any changes you want, Andre or other people that are reasonable to this. But like, I just think that the adding that warning about the distribution names is so important. So my main question is, if we're all happy with everything else, is the last warning that I've put down there, which is like the it says that the raw Kubeflow / manifests are aggregated by the manifest working group and are intended to be the base of package distributions. However, advanced users that are willing to make manual patches may choose to install the manifest directly by following the instructions. That's what it says. If everyone's okay with that wording, then let's just merge this. Like, because I really want to get that warning on there, which says that Kubeflow on X is not the only way on that platform, because it's really confusing users that I've seen.
And you have deploy KF.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I have an interest in people being aware that deploy_kf exists, but even if I didn't, like, it's still been a problem because I've seen people getting so frustrated on the AWS channel on Slack that they stop using Kubeflow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think your point is right. You just have to make sure that there's no conflict of interest.
I mean, I'm not like, there's two distributions that are benefited substantially by this.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's fine. I don't have a distribution. I only do internal stuff and open source development. So I'm not touched by this. I get.
But it's also end
understand the
users are
reasoning
benefited
for
too. Yeah. End users are benefited as well. Yeah.
Okay, I think we should approve that. I put that on the thing. Hopefully other
If
people.
you can LGTM it, then Josh, and then tag, if you could specifically /LGTM it, and then we can tag, and I'll tag one of the two root approvers because it needs a root approver, I think.
I was hoping to get some other people to chime in.
I mean, Andre, if you're okay with it, you can LGTM it. I don't think you can approve it, but if you're okay with it, I don't know. I'm happy if you're not. Just tell me what you want me to change.
Yeah, we'll give you the comments today.
Okay, cool. Do that for me, please. I would love you so much.
We need anyway, James, to approve it, try to move forward. So
Yes.
Okay, let's call it a day. We're way over. All righty.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.